I got myself a 12900, not K, and this is basically a 250 watt CPU as it appears, even though it says 65 watts here. I had to figure out a quite, let's say, creative solution to my cooling problems because I do not own a cooler capable of cooling 250 watts. I do own a cooler capable of cooling 200 watts, borderline 210. So I configured that in Intel X3U, and Intel X2 allows you to enable short boost turbo power and set a max wattage and duration. You can do the following. You can just blast everything to unlimited to get a completely 250 watt behavior all across the board, all day, even though it's not a K processor. And Intel specification and official guidance calls for Intel processors, non K processors of 12th gen, to run at base clock and at least definitely not boost after, I believe, 56 seconds have passed of PL2 power. It should then revert to PL1 power. PL2 power is 250 watts. PL1 power is maybe 125. You can define that here. Short power max is PL2. PL2 I'll set to, for the purposes of this video, I'll just give it 210. Everything else will throttle horribly. Maybe 215. Here, 215. And this cell, I'll leave it. Uh, time duration does not, time window does not matter because they're the same value. It's not going to drop anywhere, is it? Here we can see the P core and E core frequencies, voltages, and temperatures. Apparently this core is extremely cool at 28 degrees, even though I'm recording on OBS. Interesting. I'll fire up Cinebench now. As you can see, package DDP is exploding to 215 watts. It also says it's power limit throttling, which is correct as I did enter 215 watts as a power limit. Now we can watch. Without limits, this CPU should be able to do about 26,400 points in Cinebench according to CPU Monkey. Let's see where we end up. I'm gonna take the second run too. CPU chilling at a toasty 94 degrees. 96. We can see some spikes to 96 degrees there. P cores are running at 3.5 gigahertz. What? P cores at 4.55, E cores at 3.5. Let's see what we get. 24,500. I've seen 25,700, but as I'm recording, of course, some performance will be gone. It's to be expected. That said, here is the voltage, power, and performance curve. No voltage, just power. This is probably the better one to look at. You can see that at 20 watts, it's really struggling with about 5,000 points. 5,000 points is, I believe, about what a 7700K would get. That's a 4-core processor. But at a 5,000 score, I was basically only running E cores The lowest the processor is able to drop to seems to be 9 watts, at which point it's running at 400 megahertz. Then it goes to 8,000, about 10,000, 14,000, and then it starts losing that steep gain. And above 23,375 here at 140 watts, we don't really gain a lot. So that's mostly where the efficiency lies. If you want to know my setup, I installed this particular CPU on a Asus Prime board with DDR4 installed. This board allows me to either enforce, remove, or just not specify behavior when it comes to what Intel specified, what I was talking about, the PL1 and PL2 behavior. I've told it to ignore limits once, that worked. And then I set it to auto and instead configured it in XTU, as XTU enables you to change the limits while the system is running. You can experiment a lot with it. It's very practical. So I encourage you to download XTU and either check your own processor and its efficiency at lower wattages to save power and money on your electricity bill. Or you might also want to look at it if you want to overclock your CPU and you have a K CPU, unlike me. In case you cared, the difference between the 12900 and the 12900K is, depending on the workload, but usually about 1 to 3%. But I was able to save $100 on it, so that was very much worth it. Anyway, see you guys.